Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is part 13 now of the Mark IV tank build, the German captured one, as you see here. So yeah, thanks for looking in. If you like what you see, please subscribe, like, dislike, tell me why, all the usual. So yeah, not a very long video this one, but we're looking at some weathering, decals, a little bit of rust work, and yeah, enjoy. Okay, just want to show you a really simple modulation technique here that I'm using. What I've got is the airbrush has got XF55 Decals in it, and it is literally 98% thinners, 2% paint, and I've got the airbrush set at about 15 psi. Now I've done this side, and I don't know if you can see on here, photographs, colours, videos, effects make life really hard, especially with my rubbish lighting. But basically you can see here what I've got is I've gone down from the top at like a 45-degree angle and just blown down along the tank, and it's just faded everything in. I don't know if you can see it on there, but all the tops of all the bolts have picked it up, and this is an effect, again, this is quite garish. But once you start adding washes and stuff, it all gets very, very much toned down. So I'll just show you quickly how I do this. This size is mostly done. And like I said, literally got the airbrush at 45 degrees, literally just wetting the surface and no more. And that is it. That's all you do. Now I haven't done the top yet, so what I'll do is I'll show you the top. I'll go in from behind, literally just go in over the top like so. You can't see what I'm doing, can you, at all? It's really a waste of time. But, I'm just blowing over, and then I'm going to come in from the other direction and blow over again. And I don't know if you've picked that up, but all that is doing is just basically, I don't know, bleaching the paint. I've got a couple of spatter spots there, but I'm not really too worried. So you can see this just all it's doing is just bleaching the paint and toning it down, ready for what's to come. Okay, so now we can see I've done the modulation and finished all that now. So now it's time to start thinking about getting the decals on. Need to move the camera up a touch. There we go. Before I put the decals on, much to the dismay of a lot of people, I like to use clear. It just saves any silvering. As far as I'm concerned, once you've used the clear and the decals go down, if you get any problems, you can deal with it. If you've got a matte surface and there's a rough patch, you're pretty stuck. And the last thing you want is silvering, especially if you're going to be putting oils and weathering over the top of them. So this kit in particular, all these rivets and bolts and grooves and God knows what, I'm going to just make sure I've got a good thick coat of gloss for the decal to go down on, just to make sure. In an ideal world I should be painting these, but I don't have any masks. I can't be bothered to make any. I just want to get this decaled up, done, weathered, get these bloody confounded tracks finished. I think I'm almost got one side done now. What are we in now? A week and 2 days since I started doing them. So well on track for finishing by the 11th, but honestly, they are absolutely soul destroying. So anyway, back to the gloss. I use Alcoed Aqua Gloss. I get it from Hero Boy, which is just down the road from me in Tewkesbury. Very, very good stuff. Very, very good product. And I'll show you how to use it now. The first thing you read is do not shake it. Don't ever shake it. I don't know why, but they tell you not to shake it. So just unscrew the cap. Now this is one of my worries, is you get this build up of all this dried crap around the top. So I always just give that a quick little wipe just to make sure there's no loose bits hanging off. And then I'm going to pour it in the airbrush. Just pour a drop in there. You can always pour back what you don't use, as long as your airbrush is clean. And then I'm going to make sure I put the cap back on just in case. So there we go, the cap's back on now. So I can put that back over there so you can see what it is I'm using. So looking at the instructions here, we've got decals along the side, a couple on the top, and and a couple on the front, a couple on the back. So no point in gloss coating the whole thing. So I'll blend it just to make sure we don't get too much difference. But we can see here that this cross here is between these two lines. So I need to make sure I gloss coat in here. So I've got about 15-20 psi. I'll just lay some down like that there. And straight away you can see that underneath there is quite a matte finish on there, quite a stipply finished. And then the next one we've got is up here. Let's spray that in there, an area there. Up here, put that red circle with the 5 in the middle. Obviously they were Nigel Mansell fans. If you don't know who Nigel Mansell is, you must be a lot younger than me. So that's the size. Let's do the same on the other side. This is what they call wet on wet, so I'm putting on wet and then adding more to it. There we go. It's actually not too smudgy, this stuff. You don't, obviously if I wasn't videoing now I'd be using extraction, but it's actually not too bad. I'll put the extractor on after, it'll be fine. Clear the airbrush there. Get some more, you can really hear it going on now. It's got that really wet now. Just do the same on this side. The finish doesn't need to be perfect. After all, it's a tank and it's going to be weathered and everything anyway. Then on the back we've got this panel here. The decal going on there. Just dry that back. Put some more on. Wet on wet gives you a lovely glossy finish, but something to be careful. If you know what you're doing, you will get runs. And this is a good gloss coat. I wouldn't recommend it really for a finish coat on car bodies. You can use it, but there are better solutions out there. And then just the last bit, it's got gun barrels always in the way wherever it is. It's got this Anken nameplate here, so just get that nice and shiny as well, like that. You can see the shine on this straight away. Just dry it back. Dries in no time, this stuff. If you don't have any of this, the alternative is future floor polish you can use. But you can see there we've got a nice glossy finish where the decals are going to go, and no real colour change, so to speak. And then once this is matte coated and weathered and God knows what, you'll never even know it was ever there. And don't worry about putting it on too thick. As long as you don't get any runs, it does pull in. It does pull down very tight. So there we go. Oh, there is a German cross on there as well. Put some off the camera. There's a German cross on the roof. Top of that bit there. Whatever that's called. There we go, you can see the shiny bits where I need the shiny bits. There's a bit more on there. And there we have it, and that's given a good base now for the decals to go down on, and pretty much ensure we don't get any silvering. And now you watch, I'll do this live on camera with some decaling for you, and sure enough we'll see silvering, I know we will, because that law of sod is out to get me. there you go. So leave that for now, and then next time we come back, well, just show you this just to prove. You can take the top of your Alclad Aqua Gloss off, and then pull that back in. Do the top back up, and then a little bit you've got left in the colour cup, just use it up here rather than throw it away. And when I come to do the decals, I'll be using the Microsol red and blue. Right, Saturday morning. Got up this morning and did a few house chores, and then thought I'd get some decals on this. So yeah, my first time I think with Takom decals, I think, and they're okay. They don't seem to respond. They're nice and thin, but they don't seem to respond very well to Microsol. So I used the blue first and then the red, and they didn't go down very well. I don't know if I can get this in and show you kind of close up, but you can see they've gone down around the rivets, but they're not sort of down tight around the rivets. It's a bit strange. What I may have to do is let them go off, cut them, and then put them down. At the end of the day, this is what I do with decals. I start with Microsol. If that doesn't work, I go on to the Guns soft setter. What's it called? The Guns. Yeah, it's by the camera. This one, Mr. Mark Softer, and then there's also the other one, which is the setter, which is the white. I still don't have a clue which way around you're supposed to use those, but I just use that one. And if that doesn't work, then I start using thinners. And if you use Guns leveling thinner, yeah, this stuff here, you can paint this on, but by God, you do not want to touch them. It literally just dissolves them, and they will, anything will go down with that. I did an experiment with some Bandai decals on a cockpit, on a Star Wars kit, and they wouldn't go down with anything, so I chucked some of that on there. By God, they went down, and they just turn into like paint, just dissolves them. So yeah, works really well. Apparently you can also use Tamiya extra thin, but I think all this is a bit aggressive. But yeah, it's worth to know that when you've got a kit, especially something like this, an armour kit that's going to get beat to hell and weathered, you know, if it does damage the decal slightly, you can cover it up. You don't really want it on an aircraft wing roundel, do you? But it seems to work, you know, with any decal. So you can see I've also painted the exhaust. That's a mixture of game colour, red, black, and like a mid-brown, and then just brushed it on. Another little tip for the new starters: brushing Tamiya paint is like trying to drag a slug across a wet, oily bathroom tile, in my opinion. So Vallejo is probably one of the best brush baiting, and also it thins nicely with water, so you can brush it on and it won't attack the paint underneath it. If I went onto this now with Tamiya paint thin with Mr. Colour leveling thinner, as soon as you start to brush it, you would lift the paint underneath and you would mix it. So basically, you know, if you started painting here, you wouldn't really notice it because of the brown, but if you painted here where it was grey, straight away your brown paint would turn to like a very dark brown or even black colour. So yeah, it's worth remembering, especially when you're doing figures and stuff. So yeah, there we are. She's deckled now. I'm going to leave this a few hours and then go back and attack the decals again. And that's it really. And then we start weathering it properly. I need to paint these gun barrels as well. Yeah. Okay guys, this is the final segment of part 13. As you can see now, I've done some work on the exhaust. What I've done there is painted it with a mix of black, red and brown game colour to get like a dark brown colour. I forgot to mention it in my last segment, but you'll see it on there then, when I was talking about the decals not going down very well. You'll see that colour on there then. and it has a kind of satiny glossy finish to it, which is fine. I've then got some MIG pigments. I've got standard rust and light rust. I started off with light rust with some pigment fixer, which I think is basically just odorless thinners, and then sort of brushed that all around, and then went over in patches with the standard rust. So I started with the lighter rust, then I went with the standard rust, and then just sort of moved that around and let it dry, and that's how it looks when it dries out. Now that is nowhere near finished, but you can see it's got that kind of rusty kind of look to it. Now I'm learning with you here because I've never been very good at depicting rust, but obviously now, and I've got a YouTube channel, I need to try and make a bit of a better effort. But what I'm here to talk about now is these decals, or decals. I don't want anybody starting on me. You can see here this one hasn't gone down too bad. This one sort of hasn't gone down very well around this bolt here, but this one here, it's split. This red circle could do with a bit of a tension there and there. And then here we've got the problem where it hasn't gone down very well. It's all there and it's all there, and what it's done, it's kind of, where it's gone down, it's put a wrinkle either side of the bolt, like it's been stretched down over. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go straight for the Mr. Colour leveling thinners, which is extremely aggressive and just destroys decals. So I'm just going to make a slit with a knife. Just want to make sure that the thinners can get under there, and I'm using a small brush, and I'll give you a tip. Put the brush in the thinners and wipe it in a rag quite a few times before you start. What I found with this one, you know, even though you've been using it for your watercolours and stuff and you think it's clean, a load of red came out of this, so I would have had red running down the side of my model. So here we go, I'm just going to dab this on, and it shouldn't be too long before we start to see a reaction. I'll put a fair bit on there, put some on here as well, and then we've got to leave it. It's no, you can't touch it now, because now that decal is, was that all off camera then, guys? If it was, I'm going to edit it out. I'll do some on the other side, but you can't touch it again now. It'll bite you back. And yes, the noise you can hear in the background is my dog growling with her toy underneath the bench, which she seems to love doing while I'm doing modelling. So we're going to do the same there, and I go around to the other side, and where it hasn't gone underneath that bolt, I'm just going to make a hole, and also there and there, and then I'll just get my extra Mr. Colour levelling thinners, brush it all around here. You don't need to be too gentle putting it on, but after a few seconds you just need to make sure you leave it alone. The other one that might need some work is that one on the front there. Okay, so right, that's that done. Now when I come back in part 14, we should see that's all done. I want to get part 13 ironed up because I want to start now fresh, because next is going to be the washes and the filters and stuff. I don't know, I may put a gloss coat on this now, or even a matte coat, just to get it all uniform. Let's just see how we go. I'll have to touch in these black areas as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're enjoying this. It's starting to take shape. You can see that's starting to go down already. You may see that it's starting to pull down a bit tighter already. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and make sure you look back for parts 14 onwards. We'll get this thing finished. It will be finished by November the 11th, I can assure you. The tracks are still coming together. This is the length of 74 here. There's one in the jig here, and there's about 25 in the box here. So by now we've actually started on the other side. So I'm starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel now. But yeah, it's still a distant candle in a 50-mile long tunnel with about 17 walls in between and across 3 different countries. So yeah, if I haven't gone mad and I haven't taught myself or hung myself off the study ceiling light fitting, I'll see you guys soon with part 14. Thanks for watching. Catch up with you soon. Bye bye.